Okay, awesome.
Looks like we're good.
Yeah, great. So the first thing I wanted to do before we dive into everything that we're going to go over today, since I have you all here, I wanted to just walk through the Active Pipe website really quick and make sure that you guys know about all the tools that we have. So I'm at activepipe.com. Two things over here that I want to show you. First, we have a blog. We try to do about like 6 blogs a month. They're here to help you. As you can see, we just launched one, staying out of spam. We have other agent success stories. There's really good content in here, so I would encourage you to subscribe so that you're always staying up to date with that. And a lot of our webinars that we do are actually tied to a blog. So if you miss a webinar, more than likely you can actually find a blog on what we covered, and that might be an easier way for you to learn. The other tab I wanted to show you was resources. This is where we actually host all of our webinars recorded. So make sure to click the America, and this will actually show all of the previous recordings that we have, and then it will give you the page you can register for upcoming ones. And then the last thing was our knowledge base. So the knowledge base is really great. I wanted to draw attention to this because everything that we're going over today, we actually pulled from our knowledge base. So today we're focusing on exporting contacts from wherever they're located. So as you can see, if you need to come back here and go over anything we went over today, you can actually just type in export, and wherever you're exporting from, you should be able to find an article. So just wanted to highlight that in case you guys need a review after our call. So with that said, like I mentioned, today is going to be strictly focusing on exporting contacts from wherever you have them so that we can help you get them into ActivePipe. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually launch a poll just to see where most people are keeping their contacts right now. So if you guys could take the time to fill that out, it'll really help guide our conversation today. Looks like we just have maybe 4 more people if you guys want to fill that out, just so that we can kind of decide where to focus our time. And just so you guys are prepared, this very well might be an interactive conversation. Please put your questions in the chat or the Q&A. And also, I think you have the option to raise your hand. Either way, we're happy to unmute you because our goal today is to just make sure that we help you get your contacts out. So we want to talk to you. We want to make sure that you guys are going to be successful with this. So with that, it looks like we just have 2 more. I think this is a good starting point, Taylor, for us to begin. It looks like Gmail is the most popular, so I'll go over that. And then it looks like maybe we can talk a little about the CRM. Should we start there just since it's kind of an easy conversation, or?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool. So I see about 3 of you guys are using a CRM. The first thing I'd ask you to do is actually go back to this ActivePipe website that I was showing you, and we actually have a whole tab for integrations. So if you go here and check this out, you'll see all of these integrations. There's actually a see all button, so you can see every single integration that we have for a CRM. If you notice that your CRM that you're using is on this list, all you need to do is actually message our support team and we can take it from there as far as connecting your contacts into ActivePipe. So super simple. If your CRM is on this list, you'll just need to message support and we can get that set up for you. On the other side, if your CRM is not showing here, you are absolutely welcome to requests that we try to integrate with them. But for the sake of time, I would encourage you to actually work with your CRM provider to export those contacts, and then we can talk about getting them into ActivePipe. So if your CRM isn't on this list, you'll need to find a way to export them out of that CRM, and then we'll import them into ActivePipe. Okay, great. Thanks for taking care of that question. Okay, so that's kind of it for CRM. We're happy to help you link it up to ActivePipe, super simple. And then the last thing is, again, if it's not on this list, you can talk to our team and get a custom integration. That might take a while. So I would encourage you for now to just export it out of that CRM. Your CRM provider, I'm sure, has instructions on how to do that. If we have time, maybe we can try to help you today. Okay, so the next popular one was Gmail. So I'm going to go there. Fortunate for me, I have a Gmail account. So I only have one contact in. And I was actually going to see, my contact is Carly, who I think is on this call today. So that's kind of funny. So first thing you need to do is actually navigate to your contacts. So to do so, you'll actually just be on your regular old Google screen, and you'll go to this little waffle icon over here on the right. And then there is a section for contacts. So you'll select that. And as you can see, I only have this one contact. Hopefully you guys have many, many more. And then all you need to do to export is actually just select one of the contacts. I know for a fact that if you have multiple contacts, all you need to do is select this guy up here and say select all contacts. So that way every single contact is checked off. And then you're going to click this little guy up here, the 3 dots. And this button right here will pop up and say export. And it's as simple as that. So again, hopefully you have many more contacts than me. I recommend doing a Google CSV. I think that they're really easy to work with. And if you already have a Google account, might as well keep it in the same place. You're more than welcome to use the Outlook. But the key thing is that it's a CSV file. And we'll spend some time talking about organizing that CSV file at the end. I just want to make sure that everyone is able to actually export today. Totally forgot to mention this. If you guys can follow along, I would highly encourage it. I think the act of you guys getting today and seeing how easy it is will hopefully encourage you to then put those contacts into ActivePipe. So I'm going to pause here since most of our customers on the call right now are exporting from Gmail. I want to see if anyone has any questions. If you guys need help in this process right now, feel free to message us and we can unmute you and walk you through that. Catherine, I see your question about contact management app. Honestly, I have no idea as far as the CRMs go, because we don't like work for them. So I actually have no idea about pricing. I know a lot of our customers tend to use Close, but I have no idea what the pricing is on that one. I think Follow Up Boss is another popular one. Anyways, everything on that list does work. But if you don't have a contact management app right now that syncs over, I really think that ActivePipe is a really good starting point. If you can just take your contacts and put, yeah, thank you, Taylor. Yeah, we have all the things that you need to kind of track what your customer wants. There's a section for you to put in buyer preferences. You can put in their address, you can put in their birthday. So I think although it's specifically for sending emails, that if you get your contacts in and kind of organize them in there, it's a really good starting point. So
right. And just something to touch on this, even if you are managing your contacts in ActivePipe, you can always export them from ActivePipe as well. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to just kind of, since you already have ActivePipe, I would say, do what you can to get those contacts in. And then once they're in, and if you find, a CRM that you want to use down the road, you can absolutely just now export your organized contacts from there and put them in the CRM. And the great thing about ActivePipe is that we're keeping track of your contacts that actually want to receive emails from you. So in that regard, we're kind of helping you organize and tidy up the contacts that make sense to hold on to. Okay, so I'm having any questions for Gmail. Did anyone have any trouble? I just want to make sure that we give you the time to actually export this into a CSV, since you're seeing how simple it is. So that way you can walk along with me when we kind of go through organizing contacts. So again, I would really encourage you to export that into a CSV right now, organize it together in a little bit. So with that said, unless a question comes up in the next seconds, Taylor, I'm going to turn it over to you for exporting from Outlook.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
All righty. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Devin? Awesome. Okay, so exporting from Outlook is just as easy as exporting from Gmail. Once you're in Outlook, you'll have your navigation menu over here to the left, and you'll see these two little people where you'll want to click into here. And this is going to be all of the contacts that you have listed within Outlook. What you'll want to do is come over to Manage, and you'll see the option to export these contacts. And you can also choose specific contacts or all contacts. We'll do on contacts for this specific example. And then we're going to go ahead and export, and you'll see that it will open up a CSV. So pretty simple, just a couple of steps just to get that information out in the open. As you'll see when you open it up, you'll have a lot of names and columns that aren't necessarily necessary, but we can go in and talk about which ones that are really important for you to get into ActivePipe in order to get started, which are the first name, last name, and email. So if you have that in your contacts list, then you're good to go. The more information, the better. But this is just a good starting point, is first name, last name, email address.
Yeah. Do you want to, I know personally, like I really struggle with Excel. So if you want to like maybe show like easy ways to delete those unnecessary columns and that kind of thing, I think it could be really helpful.
Yeah. So you could choose to click into these necessary columns. What I suggest doing is you click on the first column, and then you're going to hold down your command button and highlight the rest of the ones that you want to get rid of. Let's see. And then you'll right click. Oops, sorry. It looks like it's not working. Let's see. And then we'll just click delete, and it will delete all of those columns that you have highlighted. Let's see. Oops. I accidentally raised a hand. Also, something to note, and this is something that we can share with everyone on the call, is we have a generalized contact import that we suggest doing. As you'll notice on this, and I'm sure Devin will highlight this going into ActivePipe, just getting these in, but we'll have the tags here. Something I did in my Outlook was I added notes so that when these contacts were pulled out, that we had these notes and we can utilize them as tags as well. So this is a good way that you can start organizing from your Outlook profile before you go into export those contacts themselves. Let's see. Any questions on exporting from Outlook?
Doesn't look like we have any that I can see. We did have a question about exporting contacts from an iPhone, which I totally understand why we need to go over that. But unfortunately, according to the research that I've done, it's not very simple. I mean, you generally have to use a third party to kind of help with that. It's really odd. Although I have seen if you use a Mac to export contacts, it's much easier. I will share this article on it if it's helpful to everyone for exporting from an iPhone. But unfortunately today we're not going to actually review exporting from an iPhone just because we can't share our iPhone. Hopefully that's helpful to anyone that does need to get contacts out. Okay. So I think the last one that we had was MLS. And so I've only helped a few like different customers exporting from an generally it seems to be similar for all of them. Obviously every MLS is different. I really encourage you. We wanted to poll you guys on that one. How many people are actually keeping their contacts in MLS? It's definitely going to vary from each MLS that you guys are in. Can you hear me? It says my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, you're going in and out, Devin.
Oh
Um,
no. Can you hear me
it-
okay now?
yes, we can hear
Okay.
you just fine.
Sorry about that. So as I was saying, it's going to vary from MLS to MLS, but I have found that it's generally the same for each MLS. So if you are someone that keeps your contacts in MLS, you should be able to navigate to the contact section. And then every time I've done it, there's just literally a giant button that says export. And you'll just need to make sure you do export as CSV. If that is not the case and you're in your MLS and not seeing what I'm describing, I have actually been able to pretty much Google it for every single MLS. So depending on what MLS you're in, if you want, you can actually share and we can totally Google it for you and walk you through it. I'm happy to do that.
Mhm.
So whoever is using the MLS, feel free to just chat that in and we can try to see if we can find information on that. Let's see. Okay. Whoever's using the MLS, feel free to chat it in. Happy to look it up. But from my experience, it's if you just navigate to your contact section, there should be some type of button that says export. And if you're not seeing that, feel free to give it a Google. And if you have any issues, message our support team because we're happy to help you. Okay, so shall we move on to organizing contacts?
Let's organize them.
Okay, let's see. Give me a second and I will pull up my screen. Okay, so can you see my screen, Taylor?
Sure can.
Awesome. Okay. So like Taylor was showing, once you get those contacts pulled into CSV file, you're going to have many more. Here, I'll add in you, Taylor, than I do. You're going to get a fake email. Okay. So as Taylor was mentioning, really the key things to just starting off an ActivePipe is clearly an email address because we're an email platform. So you can actually, if you don't even have first name, last name, you can actually totally it's totally fine. If you don't have first name, last name, to just upload emails, that works. We just want you to start getting sent. It would be great to have a first name, especially because we have some really cool options in the platform to make your emails a little bit more personal. You're not without having a first name. So I would encourage you, if you notice that you have an email address without a first name, sometimes they have it in their email. So just add it in because it can help you do some pretty cool things in the long. And with that said, the other key thing to help you stay organized and figure out what you're sending to who in ActivePipe is this tags column. So tags are kind of like a segment or a category that contact falls in. So in this case, let's say I'm a potential buyer and Taylor is a potential seller. That would be a great tag for each of us. On the other side, hopefully you'll be sending things like newsletters and they're not necessarily specific to a buyer and seller. So another great tag that you could have is actually just the tag newsletter. And that can be for both of us. So typically we see a lot of our agents tag like all of their contacts with something like newsletter, or another one I see is POS, sphere of influence. That's another tag. Honestly, the options are endless. It's up to you of what makes sense. But what I wanted to show you is that you can have numerous tags. And there's two options here. You can have individual columns for each one. I actually like this because I find, especially for something like newsletter, that if you have it once, it's easier to just drag down for everyone. So you don't have to go in and manually like plug that in. So I think that the columns are nice, but if that's not what you're interested in, you can actually just do many tags separated by comma. So you could put newsletter here like that and get rid of this column. So do we have any questions on that? This is what you're going to need to do once you export those contacts from wherever they are. We'll just want to clean it up a little, make columns. So I know Excel is a little bit difficult and I'm by no means an expert. So I'll just show you something that's kind of helpful for making this column. So let's just say that this wasn't here. Something that you can do is just highlight that first row by clicking over here. And then you'll click, I use a Mac, so it's command, or is it command or is it control? Okay, I use the control button. And then what you'll do is insert one above. And now you have a whole row where you can actually label each of these columns. So first name, last name, email, tag. And this is important. It's by no means does it have to be in this order. It could be email first, tag first, whatever. But it's helpful to have these this label on top, because when it pulls into ActivePipe, it can easily identify what field goes with what. So I'll walk you through now uploading this into ActivePipe. So what we need to do is download. And if you're doing this like in Excel instead of Google Sheets, I believe it's just save as. Not download. So you'll want to go to save as, and then again, the key thing is a CSV. ActivePipe will only import CSV files. So make sure that you download or save as a CSV. And now you'll go into your ActivePipe account. And then you'll go to your contact section. We're going to go to add contacts. And then we're going to go to import. So I downloaded, I can actually just drag and drop this right in. If you saved it as a file on your computer, you can just click this blue button and it will populate all of your files there. So you can select from there. But once you see that the file is imported, you'll select import contacts. And this is where that matching comes about from labeling each column. So our system, these are last names, this is email address, and then it's also tag. Other fields, like for example, maybe you put in, says my internet connection is unstable.
We can still hear you.
Fantastic. Great. If there's any fields that need, like maybe you had, I'm trying to think of a good example, like birthday or something that wasn't super necessary for you to start sending. There's also this section ignore. So you can absolutely just do what Taylor had, how it was that giant spreadsheet of columns that were empty. You can actually still import that and then just label all of those columns ignore. That's totally fine if you're too lazy to clean it up a little bit, but I would encourage you to clean it up because it'll save you more time importing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we're going to click continue. Okay, the final thing is before finishing your import, if you would like to, and you're only uploading like a certain list, maybe it's like coming from, let's see, like Zillow leads or something like that, and you didn't put that in your spreadsheet as a tag, a good way to kind of add a tag last minute is actually click this button over here, add a tag to new contacts. You don't need to do this because you already have your contacts tagged, but if for whatever reason you wanted to add a tag for all of these contacts that you're importing, you could absolutely do so right here by adding that. If not, and it's unnecessary, you'll just click finish importing. And we got the thumbs up. So these are all in. And that is how you import your contacts into ActivePipe. Do we have any questions?
Devin?
Yeah.
Devin, I just wanted to highlight, if you'll scroll down just a little bit, you'll notice that in this import overview, that one was updated. So this is good if you have, if you're going through and a contact import and a couple of your customers have new emails, just know that we're not going to duplicate that first name, last name. It's just going to update it within ActivePipe so that you're not having multiple Devin Holbrooks or Taylor Ritchies within your contacts tag.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that goes for like anything that you've added into this spreadsheet. So maybe like you found out Devin's address and phone number and you wanted to add that in, but you already had her in ActivePipe. This is how you could do that. And it would show here when you import that it's just been updated for those people that you've made new information for. Thanks for pointing that out, Taylor. So as you guys can see, it's pretty simple. The key thing really comes down to you guys actually making the effort to export the contacts from wherever they are into a CSV, and then just going into your contacts in ActivePipe and making that import. And I would encourage you guys, if you're gonna go and do this on your own now, we have some really great articles, like I mentioned, and little how-to videos that might be more digestible than a webinar. So feel free to just type that in, importing contacts. We have step-by-step instructions on that in our knowledge base. So if you guys need a refresher, feel free to go there. Do we have any other questions? Looks like you took care of most of them. Taylor, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I hope so. I hope everyone on this call goes right to work exporting their contacts. Oh, we have a raised hand. Let's see. Corey from the audience. Let's allow you to talk. Hi, Corey. You are given permission to speak now. Hello?
Corey, can you hear us? It could have been an accident.
Oh.
See, we have some questions in the Q&A.
So Darlene, addressing your question, how would you go about organizing contacts for multiple agents on a team? Great question. It sounds like it will definitely take some time. I mean, the key thing is that the agents are going to know what type of tag each of their contacts should be. So I would say the best way to kind of begin is just getting the contacts in the first place and starting to send emails. We have tons of features that kind of organize them for you in a way. So I would just say, get the contacts in. If you need to organize them, it's really going to come down to the agents. A good starting point would be something like just tagging every contact that they have as either a sphere of influence or a newsletter. So that way that when you create a newsletter, that can actually still go out to a bunch of people. And then when it comes to like listing emails and everything, you'll probably want to narrow that contact list down a little bit and organize them and kind of define what each contact is looking for. What if there are multiple identical names? So Shira, your question, the key identifier in ActivePipe is the email address. So as long as there's only one email address, that's going to be the way that we identify your contacts as different. Hopefully that answers your question. I see the question from you, Corey, subscribed versus unsubscribed, but I'm not sure what you mean by that. Is that for importing contacts? I have 235 contacts and haven't done any sendouts. And why do they say subscribe? Oh, I understand. Okay, let's see. So when you're in ActivePipe, and we have all these sections. So when you first upload all of your contacts, it's going to show you all of the total contacts that you have in your account. And then it's going to show you everyone that is subscribed at that time. When you start sending, some will show up in unsubscribed, and that's because they've elected to not receive your email. With not subscribed, this is going to be a bunch of different things. This could be maybe you have a misspelling of the email, or maybe you like sent an email to them and they have their out of office on. So they'll just be temporarily put in not subscribe. I've even seen one time a customer sent out an email to someone that hadn't logged in and like signed into their email for the first time. So it kind of like a bounce email. So that's the difference between all of these things. And they'll only start falling into these categories when you start sending. Okay. Does each individual agent have to import their own or their marketing? Carly, that's totally up to your agents. If they can export their contacts for you from wherever the heck they are, and give you access, absolutely import them for them. I would encourage you to do so, if that's going to help your agents. So yes, technically agents should be importing them, but if they're exporting them and giving you access to import them, then by all means do so. Okay. Actually, oh, go ahead, Taylor.
Yep. I was just going to touch on Darlene's question about audiences.
Yeah.
So audiences and tags are similar, but yet different at the same time. So tags are going to be how you can individually categorize your clients that you're going to be reaching out to, versus audiences are going to be a way for you to layer on top of tags. So if you were trying to do a couple of tags, so say that you were trying to do buyers in a certain area, and you had those zip codes as tags, you would be able to add both of those tags to create an audience in order to send out specified emails just to buyers in a specific area.
Yeah, and we can talk about that as well. I wanted to answer Corey's other question about importing from Facebook. I don't think that you can export from Facebook. I haven't heard of anyone doing that, but I wanted to show you all this feature. Once you guys have contacts in, we have this, it's pretty new. It's probably a couple months old. We have this feature, and this is only available if you're not using a CRM. If you go to your settings section in ActivePipe, you'll scroll down to the bottom and there's this landing page. And you can copy this link. It's going to look like this. You can copy and paste this anywhere. And this is a really great feature for putting on Facebook. So I would say if Facebook is a big way for you to get in front of clients, go ahead and just copy this link, put it on your Facebook, and ask your contacts to subscribe and give you their emails. And once they do that, they're actually going to automatically be put into ActivePipe. So anyone that fills this form out will be automatically pulled into ActivePipe. So you can post this on your website, on Facebook, wherever you think is necessary. That's another great way to kind of get contacts in. So just wanted to highlight that. And again, that's in your settings in under landing pages. Okay.
Looks like we've answered all of our questions.
And since we have time, I'll just show really quick. So audiences, these can be created by going to, it's right under contacts, and then it's audiences. And then you go to create audience, and then everything that falls into this audience, you can decide by selecting that filter. So maybe it's certain tags that you want to include in this audience. Maybe they live in a certain zip code and you want like a bunch of people in the same zip code to get a certain type of email. Honestly, the options are endless as far as the fields go that you have pulled in here, and then you'll just create your audience name.
Devin, we're still seeing landing pages.
Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know. I did a little pause share. That's my bad. Okay, so I'm in audiences, which is underneath contacts, and then I just went to create audience. And then as I was saying, and you guys were not seeing, this is where you'll come in and kind of filter out whatever fields that you want to pull into that audience. So again, a great example would be maybe there's a couple of zip codes that you want to pair together to be a certain area, and you only want them to get some listings. So a great way to do that is just pull in those zip codes, and then that will filter out your contacts and create that audience. And then to create the audience name, you just come up here, create that name and save. So that's how audiences work. It's a great way to basically put in multiple tags into one category.
And you can also use this as an or statement. So think of the all of these as an and statement. So it would pull contacts that were only in the filters that you have chosen, versus any is going to be an or statement. So it would be either a zip code or a specific area, whatever it may be, or a specific tag. And it's going to pull anyone that has either one of those. So just be cognizant when you are creating these audiences that you're creating them in the correct way versus whether they are an and statement or an or statement.
Good call. Thank you. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Any last questions before we let you all loose to export your contacts and get them to ActivePipe? Oh, I think we just had another.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a simple thank you. Thank you, Darlene. For saying
Yes, thank you.
Hopefully this helps everybody feel good and confident about getting some contacts in.
Yes, and feel free to reach out to your CSM or your marketing coordinator, whoever, to provide you with an extra hand. We're always here to help.
Yeah. We want you to get your contacts in so that you can start sending an ActivePipe. So really anything we can do to help you guys get those in, we're happy to do so. Awesome. Well, this recording will be posted to that webinar page that I showed you guys earlier. So if you need a refresher, feel free to go there. Otherwise, I hope you all have a sparkling hump day.
Bye, everyone.